Tell me if this sounds familiar. You are sitting with a group of friends, or maybe you are meeting new co-workers for the first time. The conversation inevitably shifts to tattoos. Suddenly, sleeves are rolled up, ankles are shown. People start explaining the deep, profound meaning behind the geometric fox on their forearm, or the coordinates on their ribs. And then, all eyes turn to you. They scan your arms, they look at your wrists, and they see nothing, just skin. The questions start coming. Oh, you don't have any? Why not? And usually, they don't wait for your answer. They assume they already know. They think you are afraid of needles. They think you are too conservative, or maybe you are just boring. In a world where self-expression has become synonymous with body modification, being the person with blank skin can feel strangely isolating. It can make you feel like you are the one who lacks a story. Like you are a book with a blank cover in a library full of colorful illustrations. You look in the mirror and wonder, do I have commitment issues? Am I too rigid? Why can't I just pick something and stick with it like everyone else? But here is the truth that nobody tells you. Your decision to stay tattoo-free is not a lack of personality. It is not about fear, and it is definitely not because you are boring. In fact, if we look at the psychology behind it, your blank skin might be the most complex choice in the room. What people call indecisiveness is actually a high-level cognitive trait called future self-continuity. While most people are living purely in the now, your brain is running a constant, sophisticated simulation of the next 20, 30, or 40 years. You aren't just living for today. You are protecting the person you will become tomorrow. You intuitively understand a concept that takes most people a lifetime to learn, that you are not a finished product. We have analyzed the psychology of the blank skin phenomenon, and we found that people who never get tattoos usually fall into 3 distinct psychological types. The first type is the strategist. They are fighting a battle of perception. If you fall into this category, your decision to stay blank has nothing to do with needles or pain tolerance. In fact, you might be the toughest person in the room. Your hesitation comes from a completely different place, a hyperactive awareness of social cause and effect. Psychologists call this impression management. For the social strategist, every choice is a calculation. You are constantly running a background simulation of how others perceive you. When you think about getting a tattoo, your brain doesn't just see a cool design. You immediately flash forward to high-stakes scenarios. You see yourself in a job interview 10 years from now. You picture yourself meeting your future partner's conservative parents. You aren't worried about the art. You are worried about the label. You understand intuitively that humans are judgmental creatures. We evolved to categorize people quickly to assess safety and status. Even though tattoos are mainstream today, your brain is wired to maximize your social capital. You view your unmarked skin as a form of camouflage. It allows you to be a chameleon. A tattoo to you feels like a loss of tactical advantage. It locks you into a specific vibe that you might not want to project in every situation. So, you choose the blank canvas not because you don't have things to express, but because you value the power of adaptability over the permanent display of personality. You want to keep every door open. But then we have the second type. This is where things get much deeper psychologically. We call this group the fluid souls. If the strategist is worried about how others see them, the fluid soul is worried about how they see themselves. If you are this type, you probably have a folder on your phone full of tattoo ideas. You have saved Pinterest boards. You have maybe even walked into a consultation. But you always pull back at the last second. Why? It is because of a psychological concept called identity foreclosure. Most people are comfortable saying, "This is who I am." They find a symbol that represents them, a lyric, a flower, a geometric shape, and they stamp it on their body as a permanent flag. But you don't feel like a finished building. You feel like a flowing river. You have high self-concept clarity regarding your own evolution. You look back at who you were 5 years ago, and that person feels like a stranger. You realize that the things you loved at 20 might seem ridiculous at 30. The quote that saved your life in college might feel cringeworthy when you are 40. For the fluid soul, a tattoo feels like a trap. It feels like you are forcing your future self to wear the uniform of your past self. You are terrified of looking down at your arm in a decade and seeing a ghost, a symbol of a person you no longer are. This isn't a commitment issue, it is a reality issue. You understand that biologically and psychologically, human beings are designed to change. Our cells regenerate, our neural pathways rewire, our beliefs shift. To you, putting permanent ink on a temporary state of mind feels like a betrayal of your future growth. You honor your future self by leaving the space empty. You are keeping the walls of the museum white so that the exhibits can change as you grow. However, there is a third type, and this type is rare. They don't care about social strategy, and they aren't afraid of changing. Their reason for staying blank is a massive psychological twist that redefines what it means to be deep. This brings us to the third and most fascinating type. We call this group the Intrinsic Keepers. If you are an Intrinsic Keeper, you have likely never felt the urge to get a tattoo, not even for a second. It's not that you judge people who have them. You might think they look beautiful on others. But for you, the idea of marking your skin to remember something or to express yourself feels redundant. This is the psychological twist. We often assume people get tattoos because they have deep, meaningful stories to tell. But for the Intrinsic Keeper, the opposite is true. Your psychology is driven by what researchers call intrinsic identity orientation. This means your sense of self is so internalized, so solid and so vivid that you feel no need to externalize it. Think about a powerful memory. Maybe it is the loss of a loved one, a moment of triumph, or a philosophy you live by. Many people need a medium to hold that memory. They need the ink on their skin to serve as an anchor, a physical reminder in the material world to keep the internal connection alive. It's a beautiful way to process emotion. But you process differently. You don't need the anchor. The memory is already etched directly into your neural pathways. It is burned into your cortex. You carry your history, your values, and your loves on the inside. To an Intrinsic Keeper, putting a symbol on the outside can sometimes feel like cheapening the experience. You prefer the secret garden approach. You know who you are. You know what you have survived. You know what you love. The fact that nobody else can see it on your skin actually makes it more powerful to you. It is a form of minimalism for the soul. You know that quote, "The loudest one in the room is the weakest one." In a way, you apply that to your visual identity. You don't need to scream your personality through body art because you are whispering it to yourself every single day with unshakable confidence. You aren't a blank page. You are a book written in invisible ink, readable only to those who take the time to truly open the cover and read the pages. So, while the world sees skin that looks empty, you feel a vessel that is completely full. You have eliminated the middleman. You don't need the symbol of the thing because you are the thing. But whether you are a strategist, a fluid soul, or an intrinsic keeper, there is a fascinating biological mechanism happening in your brain that explains why you prefer the natural state. And once you understand this, you will never look at your own skin the same way again. Let's look at the science behind this preference. Why does your brain prefer the default settings? It all comes down to the prefrontal cortex, the CEO of your brain. For people who choose to stay tattoo-free, this area of the brain is often highly active in simulation mode. Think of your body like a historic museum. When you get a tattoo, it is like painting a mural directly onto the museum walls. It is beautiful, it is permanent, and it becomes part of the architecture. People who stay blank are operating like a museum curator who prefers white walls. This isn't because the curator hates art. It is because they love the potential of the space. By keeping the walls white, they allow the exhibits to change. Today, the room can hold a collection of joy. Tomorrow, it can hold lessons from grief. Next year, it might be something entirely different. Your brain is prioritizing cognitive flexibility. It is preserving your physical form as a neutral vessel so that your mental form can expand without limits. So, let's reframe the narrative. If you are someone who has felt boring, unadventurous, or plain for not having tattoos, stop telling yourself that story. You are not afraid of needles. You are protective of your future. You are not lacking in personality. You are rich in internal depth. You are not indecisive. You are strategically adaptable. Your blank skin is not an absence of art. It is a declaration of freedom. It is a statement that says, I am not finished yet. There is no right or wrong here. The world needs the colorful murals, and the world needs the pristine white walls. So the next time someone asks, why don't you have any tattoos? You don't need to make up an excuse. You can just smile and say, I'm just leaving room for who I haven't met yet, myself in 20 years. Which type are you? Are you the strategist, the fluid soul, or the intrinsic keeper? Let me know in the comments below.